The moment he barged in, I knew this place was no longer mine. Ethan Rourke, still smelling like his daddy's approval and a bottle of overpriced cologne, came stomping into my cube like he was kicking open the gates to his personal kingdom. "Hand over your files," he said, waving his hand like I was some IT goblin holding his golden key hostage. Two junior hires trailed behind him, eyes wide, necks craned, lanyards still swinging like dog tags. I didn't say a word, just slid the decoy folder across my desk. No fight, no fuss, just vanilla builds. Pretty enough to fool a rookie, hollow enough to implode. I turned back to my screen, pulled up Outlook, and sent the email I drafted 2 months ago. Resignation effective 4 p.m., no exit interview, no fond farewell. Just a clean break and a ghosted calendar. I didn't need fireworks. I'd written the damn fuse. Let me say this real quick before we keep going. If you're already deep into this story, take a second and hit that subscribe button. Seriously, 97% of you are listening without subscribing, and if you toss in a like, it tells the team we should keep making these. It takes a second. We notice it. All right, back to the fire. By the time Ethan started his little investor peacock strut down the main corridor, I was clearing my desk. Nothing flashy, just a recycled box, my lucky thermos, and the old paperback I kept tucked behind the monitors for when Jenkins stalled. I passed him as he walked in with that Red Bull swagger, rehearsing buzzwords like innovation pipeline and real-time stack acceleration. He didn't even look at me. Of course he didn't. That's the thing with boys like Ethan. If you don't wear a badge that says C-level or have a beard with its own podcast, you're invisible. But Logan Price saw. Oh, he saw everything. He sat in the glass-walled conference room just adjacent to Ethan's stage. As I crossed the hallway with my box, he looked up from his tablet. His eyes darted from my now empty desk to the screen where the investor deck pulsed with pre-approved mock-ups and fake stability. He didn't say a word, just tilted his head like he'd heard a dog barking 3 blocks away. He knew. What Logan didn't know yet was that the handoff folder I gave Ethan contained exactly enough scaffolding to spin up a hollow shell of the real environment, enough to run a demo if you didn't breathe too hard. But the bones were gone. No BufferX, no rollback delay sequences, no conditional staging, no sync safety flags. Like giving a toddler the steering wheel of a truck and hoping he doesn't find the gas. I passed the lobby turnstile just as they dimmed the lights in the demo room. Outside, I lit a cigarette I hadn't touched in 3 years and smiled like a woman unburdened. Then I walked to the parking garage, got in my car, and opened the onboarding packet from SyncVerge on my phone. The same SyncVerge Ethan tried to woo 2 years ago, who'd picked me instead. I didn't need to sabotage a damn thing. I just stopped catching their mistakes. I didn't dress it up, just bullet points, cold and clinical. BufferX manages concurrency conflict between admin and client environments during live state transitions. Without BufferX, overlapping update triggers will flood the system with recursive queries. Failure point is timestamp sensitive and cascades exponentially. That kind of language, dry, surgical. Not because I wanted to sound smart, because if Logan had even one neuron left firing after that mess, he'd know exactly how deep Ethan had gutted the failsafes. The attachment was already on the internal wiki, buried behind 10 layers of version control and permissions Ethan never knew existed. I just sent the signed PDF for good measure. Title, Build Safeguards, Version Gatekeepers. Authored by me, co-signed by Logan, timestamped from the last time we almost lost the East Coast cluster and swore we'd never fly blind again. That version saved us once. This one could have saved us again. If someone hadn't laughed it off as legacy fluff. I clicked send. No reply. Not a dot. Not a thumbs up. Nothing. But 10 minutes later, Logan's Slack status flipped to in a meeting, and I watched in real time as my archived access logs spiked. Not company-wide, just mine. All the old script folders, the buffer trees, the kill switch simulations, the time-stamped merge notes from 2021. It was like watching someone redissect a body you already buried, praying you missed a pulse. And that's when I knew he was scared. Not scared of Ethan, scared of the silence that would follow. I shut my laptop. Let the silence wash over me. Poured a drink I'd been saving for a quiet win and cracked open SyncVerge's onboarding binder. It was sleek, too sleek, like someone in marketing had fallen in love with Helvetica again. But it had what I needed. Their stack was aggressive but structured. Their lead architect had already tagged 3 of my old GitHub posts with implement later comments. Smart people, methodical. Halfway through page 12, my phone buzzed. Unknown number. I didn't answer. 5 seconds later, it buzzed again. Slack notification from Monica. Logan just opened the BufferX schema, twice. Good. Let him sweat. Let him walk Ethan into that demo room, knowing the exact shape of the grenade they were cuddling. I turned the page. Deployment integration protocol. Much better than what we had at AppLayer. Tighter delays, better throttling. Manual override trees with verified fallback lanes. I saw myself in the blueprint, like someone had taken the DNA of my best ideas and woven them into a system that actually respected them. It felt like breathing again. I curled into the couch and let it all go. The years of ignored warnings, the patches done after midnight, the fake praise during launch weeks followed by silence during failures. They could have kept me. Hell, they could have listened. Instead, they handed the keys to a boy who thought Git commits were optional and versioning was a vibe kill. Let the vibe kill him. Friday morning felt like muscle memory. I woke up before the alarm, poured too much half and half into my coffee, and opened tabs I didn't need anymore. AppLayer's internal dashboard was still bookmarked, still sitting right between my personal GitHub and a half-finished recipe for lemon ricotta pancakes. I clicked out of habit. Old reflexes die harder than grudges. What I saw wasn't a failure. Not yet. Just static. Retry spikes. Weird little bursts in the telemetry. No red flags. No server screams. Just an itch. Like when the air pressure drops before a thunderhead rolls in and, in your bones, something's about to split wide open. One glance at the heat map and I could already tell where the bottleneck was starting to pulse. Across the admin panel overlay. Exactly where the removed BufferX gate used to throttle parallel syncs. But I closed the tab. They didn't want a safety net. They wanted a trampoline. By noon, I'd switched gears. SyncVerge's integration modules had landed in my inbox with a note from their CTO. We're finally getting our grown-up Rails. Excited to have you. Actual gratitude. That alone made me blink twice. Then Monica pinged me. She always had this sheepish way of asking questions, like she knew she was smarter than most of the guys in the room, but still apologized for having the audacity to learn faster. Her message was short, but it said everything. Weird queuing lag today. Did your buffers used to cap concurrency on updates? I stared at the blinking cursor for a long time. She already knew the answer. She didn't need confirmation. She needed someone else to acknowledge that the house she was now stuck babysitting had termites. They demoed my legacy buffers and replaced them with a single stream process Ethan dubbed Lightning Flow, because it sounded cool in a slide deck. Because people who've never fixed a live deployment think real time is the same thing as safe. I didn't reply. Not to that one. Instead, I opened SyncVerge's internal testing logs and ran a simulated migration of one of their modules into a mock legacy container. It ran smooth. Clean handshakes, buffered sync, 0 retries. It was like watching a machine actually respect itself. Mid-scroll, I glanced back at the AppLayer monitor. The spikes had doubled. They were holding for now, but the pattern was textbook. A pre-failure build loop, one that starts benign, then escalates the moment 2 conflicting triggers fire during an update window. I could almost hear Ethan in the background, laughing about how fast the new system felt. Fast like a car with no brakes on a hill. That evening, Monica sent another ping. User reports lag in billing dashboard, can't replicate. Could be cache, could be ghosts. Ghosts? All right. I took another sip of wine and stared at my phone. I could have warned her, could have sent the schema, walked her through the watchdog pattern, told her where to look before it buckled. But then again, Logan had the files. Legal had the signed doc. Everyone who needed to know already knew. And they still handed the matchbox to the kid who thought fire made him look important. Echoes don't lie. Neither do spike logs. They're not calling for help yet, but they will. By the time I poured my first cup of coffee Saturday morning, I was already trending toward disgust. The kind that starts in your molars and works its way down your spine. I hadn't even opened my laptop yet, just casually scrolled LinkedIn while the kettle screamed. And there it was. Ethan's face beaming like he'd just solved cold fusion, standing in front of a projector screen with the caption, "Proud to announce AppLayer's leap into real-time deployment across distributed architecture. Zero delays, instant impact. I nearly dropped my mug. No mention of safeguards. No nod to the concurrency guards that used to live in the dark corners of our stack, scripted by someone who'd stayed up 3 nights straight the first time a live queue crash cost us a Fortune 100 client. No rollback sequences. No staggered queue intervals. Just bold font buzzwords and his toothy little grin. I didn't comment. I didn't even click see more. I just screenshotted it for the file, for the record, for the moment someone in legal would inevitably come knocking, asking if this post aged like milk or nitroglycerin. Around noon, Monica messaged me again. Why did you build the rollback watcher to delay by 15 moments between queues? No, hi, no, hope you're good. Just straight to the wound. I sent her a link to one of my old internal write-ups, because otherwise your system boots like a drunk stampede. She reacted with a, and nothing else, because she knew what I knew, someone had just unlocked the gates. I left the apartment around 1 p.m., took a walk, let my phone stay in my pocket. No checking dashboards, no refreshing logs, just silence. But even with earbuds in, I felt it in my chest. The slow, rhythmic thump of something breaking in the distance. The kind of breaking you can't hear unless you've been the one holding the system together with duct tape and breath for 9 years straight. When I got home, I gave in. Checked the status page. It was green. But green doesn't mean safe. Green just means the reporting module hasn't caught up to the corpse. Then Monica texted again. Customer in Ohio can't submit forms. Another in Seattle got a 504. Support says intermittent server delays. Intermittent is how all collapses start. I refreshed again. Still green. I opened the error tracker Monica had access to. She'd tagged 8 different time-stamped retries, all silently failing behind the dashboard. Because the thing about Lightning Flow is that when it breaks fast. And when it breaks fast without delay guards or rollback throttles, the failures don't wait in line. They pile up like a car crash on black ice. I leaned back and exhaled. They'd removed the kill switch, killed the stagger timing, promoted Ethan's high-speed vision like it was progress, when really it was just ego wrapped in a prettier UI. It wasn't just that they forgot to pause, it was that they forgot why we pause. 10:02 a.m. Eastern Time. The moment of glory. Ethan had been foaming at the mouth for all week. The demo room was packed. Investors sipping smug little espresso shots. PR team glued to their iPads, and Ethan standing center stage like Tony Stark in a borrowed blazer. He tapped his tablet and said those doomed words with a grin that should have been illegal. Deploy live. Cue the promo reel. Sleek transitions. AI buzzwords. Glowing user journeys. All choreographed. All pre-recorded. It was the kind of marketing fantasy built to distract from the fact that under the hood, their engine was missing its damn brakes. 10:05, the first flicker, barely perceptible. A half-second blip on the third monitor stage left. A good 90% of the room didn't even blink. Ethan kept talking, something about unparalleled scalability and real-time integrations. But the CTO, Logan, stiffened. I wasn't there, but I know the man. He'd seen the same flicker before, knew it wasn't cosmetic. 10:08. The admin dashboard registered something you never want to see during a live deployment. A recursive loop. 5 windows opened at once, all fighting to update the same permission table. No delay buffers, no conflict throttles. Each one overriding the last before the system could lock its own state. That's not a warning sign. That's the barrel of a gun pointed at your uptime. 10:09. The main client dashboard, the crown jewel they'd promised would redefine enterprise velocity, turned a gentle, pixelated gray. Not a crash. Yet. Just the system stalling, trying to understand who had the final say in a table that 5 different windows were elbowing at the same time. Someone in the front row whispered, "Wait, was that part of the demo?" 10:10. Black. Not a fade, not a flicker. Just every display. Stage, investor screen, mirrored tablet, tablet backup. Dead. Silence. The kind of silence that rewrites stock valuations. Ethan froze. Not the good kind of freeze, like a dramatic pause in a speech. The kind where your throat forgets how vowels work. The promo video kept playing from the booth, now hilariously out of sync, showing smiling users interacting with interfaces that no longer existed. Across the room, A projector monitor lit up with red console logs, too far away for Ethan to read, not too far for Logan. He stepped forward, quiet, controlled, leaning slightly toward the CEO, his boss, his friend of 20 years, and spoke through his teeth like he already knew the answer but couldn't believe he had to ask it out loud. "Please tell me your son didn't just wipe the live build." No reply. The CEO just blinked, jaw slack, face draining color by the second. From the investor row, a man in a charcoal suit and a reputation for eating CTOs alive cleared his throat. Was that production? He didn't say it loud. He didn't need to. The acoustics of the room made sure everyone heard it. Ethan finally tried to speak, something that started with technically, but choked halfway through. No one answered. Not because they didn't have the words, because the words wouldn't have fixed what they'd just done. By noon, the spin machine was already working overtime. Legal circulated a memo so dense with deflection it could have doubled as body armor. The phrase, "previous deployment frameworks," showed up 3 times in the first paragraph alone, as if the ghost of old code had somehow crept in and unplugged their server racks mid-demo. No mention of Ethan. No mention of the build being pushed live without staging. Just some vague allusion to a cascading rollback failure and a quiet implication that legacy systems were to blame. I didn't need to be on the distribution list. I was BCC'd, classic move, quiet nod from someone on the inside who knew where this was heading and wanted a record trail. I opened the memo, read it twice, and felt my jaw tighten, not at the lie itself, but at the cowardice of it. 10 minutes later, Monica dropped me a message, no preamble. "Thought you'd want this." It was a screenshot of the Git commit that started the avalanche. Commit ID 8AINS2FCA. The message, "Useless dead weight slowed down launch." The file, "Stability, layer 4 buffer.js." I stared at it for a full 30 seconds. That script wasn't just important. It was the keystone. It didn't slow the system. It protected it. It staggered conflicting calls, delayed overlapping triggers by microseconds that made the difference between a clean handshake and a total collapse. But Ethan didn't understand that. He saw a delay and thought, bloat. Saw timing control and thought, lag. And now a roomful of investors had watched his ignorance black out their multi-million-dollar fantasy. Logan tried to salvage it. That much was clear. I heard from 2 old teammates that he was in back-to-back calls, blaming a residual merge bug and referencing unexpected behavior in deprecated staging queues, which would have been believable, if not for Ethan's own digital footprint. I packaged 2 files into a clean zip. File 1, the commit itself, Ethan's deletion, dated and logged. File 2, my archived doc titled Critical Buffer Architecture L4 Layer, co-signed by Logan Price, timestamped 6 months prior. The last line read, "Any removal of layer 4 buffer.js must be reviewed and approved by the systems lead and CTO. Non-negotiable." Legal wouldn't need long. I attached the zip, wrote a 1-line message, "For your audit trail," and blind sent it to the same legal team that had blamed me in silence. Then I closed the tab and opened a new one. SyncVerge's Slack welcomed me with a little pop-up. "You've been added to Narhai Infrastructure at Core." Underneath, a message from their lead dev, "Badge access confirmed. Welcome aboard." I clicked into the channel, scrolled through the morning chatter. They were prepping for a clean release, structured, staggered, reviewed. Real engineers doing real work. My fingers hovered over the keyboard, then typed, "Let me know if you want my rollback sequence template. It's stable under multi-queue strain." A reply came back in seconds. "Hell yes. We've been trying to reverse engineer that for weeks." I smiled. Small. Quiet. Ethan was busy explaining away ghosts. I was busy building things that wouldn't need excuses. Monday morning, their house was still on fire. Quiet, smoldering fire. No flames, just the hiss of expensive silence. AppLayer's entire client-facing dashboard was still down, and the internal chatter had spilled out into the edges of my inbox like smoke under a locked door. I didn't reach for my keyboard, didn't check their logs, didn't even put on shoes. At 9:12 a.m., my phone rang. Logan's voice on the other end was clipped, exhausted, the corporate polish fraying at the edges. "We're on a recorded line," he said. "Just need your guidance to restore order." He didn't ask how I was, didn't mention Ethan. Didn't apologize. Fine by me. I'm not logging in, I said. You'll handle implementation. Monica runs point. Silence. Then, understood. I opened my original rollback sequence, the one they'd archived, ignored, and quietly resurrected the moment the lights went out. My voice didn't shake. I read it like a grocery list. Restart queues in this order. Auth, billing, interface, delay batch updates by 25 amperes between each. Reinstate R layer 4 buffer.is as a temporary process under a new alias. Call it legacy compatibility, I don't care. Strip the comments if you want, but do not remove the guard clauses, and tell Monica to isolate admin side triggers before resyncing with client nodes. More silence. Then I heard typing. Rapid fire, frantic. At 10:22 a.m., Monica messaged me directly. Buffers recompiled, delay gates inserted, node orders sequenced. You're a damn ghost, and we're rebuilding from your footprints. I didn't reply, just watched. By 1:03 p.m., the first green lights reappeared on AppLayer's public dashboard. Slowly, tentatively, like a patient blinking awake from anesthesia. By 2:30, payments resumed. Small at first, test transactions, auto-renewals, pingbacks, then larger ones. Clients who hadn't even realized things were broken finally saw their invoices processed. At 3:15, the email chain started again. The investor led from Sunday's catastrophe requested a comprehensive technical debrief and system stabilization plan. I wasn't on the chain, but Monica forwarded me the subject line, no comment. The fire was out, but the smoke wasn't gone. That's the thing about ghost fixes. Nobody claps, nobody cheers. The building just stops creaking, and people forget how close the floorboards were to snapping. No one sees the hands under the floor, stitching beams back together. They just walk across it like it never cracked. Logan messaged me at 3:43 p.m. We'd like to discuss options moving forward. We're reviewing roles. There may be a new title. I read it, deleted it. Ghosts don't need offices. Logan called again that night. The second time that day. This time, no recorded line, no script. Just his voice, hoarse and tired, sounding like a man who'd finally realized the ice beneath him wasn't just thin, it was gone. We'd like you to come back, he said, like it was a favor, like it was even still on the table. Then came the pitch. We're creating a new role, Chief Systems Integrity Officer. It would come with full oversight, permanent team, direct line to the board. I cut him off. Calm, measured. No. Not out of pride, not out of vengeance, just certainty. I had already lived through their chaos, built walls they let children knock over, cleaned messes in silence while they handed out trophies to the loudest guy in the room. Going back wouldn't be a victory, it'd be erasure. I'm not coming back, I said, but I'll give you 3 terms. If you want my guidance in the future, any of it, this is the cost. I laid them out like code comments, clear and irrefutable. Term 1, public credit to the legacy engineering team, not buried in fine print, not whispered in a hallway, a clear acknowledgement that the systems never held together by accident. Term 2, immediate suspension of Ethan Rourke from all deployment authorization roles. No figurehead title, no loophole access. He touches nothing until someone older than his LinkedIn account signs off. Term 3, new policy requiring formal written justification for any deletion or modification of system-critical scripts. No more late-night commits labeled cleanup. No more deleting buffers with a vibe and a smirk. Logan didn't argue. He knew these weren't demands. They were the price of survival. By 10:12 p.m., legal had approved them all. They even gave it a name, the Legacy Integrity Clause. I laughed when I read that. Not because it was funny, but because I remembered exactly where I was when I wrote the first line of the first safeguard that clause now protected. At 3:04 a.m., in an office with flickering lights and a vending machine that only took coins, whispering to myself that no one would thank me, but I'd build it anyway. They didn't ask me to sign anything. Didn't need to. I'd already signed what mattered. Months ago. With every script, every buffer, every silent line of defense they didn't see until it vanished. The truth was always there. They just finally learned to read it. Friday morning unfolded like a funeral nobody wanted to attend. Boardroom sealed, suits stacked shoulder to shoulder, no coffee, no pleasantries, just clipped voices and cold paper, investors, legal, insurers, compliance. The big players had all come to see the wreckage up close, to trace the line from ignition to explosion with enough clarity to assign blame and issue settlements. The question, when it came, wasn't dramatic, wasn't shouted. It landed like a scalpel. Who authorized the deletion of the control buffer? The silence that followed was surgical. I wasn't in the room. Didn't need to be. The evidence was. First, the demo day recording. Ethan, beaming, laughing off technical safeguards like a drunk frat boy in a lab. We've removed the ancient stuff that was slowing everything down. The quote hung there, projected on a 70-inch screen like it was his LinkedIn headline. Then came the git commit log, ID 8A92FCA. User, Ethan Rourke. Message, remove for speed. And finally, the Slack message to Monica, casual as a meme. Buffer, LOL, that's grandpa code. I imagine someone in that room sighed. Someone else probably scribbled a name onto a legal pad with a little too much pressure. Logan took the bullet. Or maybe he offered himself up. Either way, he stepped down without spectacle. No press release, no goodbye LinkedIn post, just a reshuffling announcement posted after hours that didn't even use his full name. Transitioning leadership in the systems org. Ethan didn't get fired. Not exactly. The phrasing was cleaner. Reassigned pending further training, which in corporate speak meant someone had convinced his father that yanking him out of deployment was cheaper than a lawsuit. He'd still get to walk the halls, just without a key card that mattered. And the clause? Oh, it stuck. The Legacy Integrity Clause, my 3 terms, was formally enacted and read aloud. Then my original one-pager, the same document I wrote half in a panic and half in prayer, was printed, bound, and included in the final compliance report. A little line of defense enshrined in policy. They renamed the buffer too. Couldn't bring themselves to call it what I did. They called it Guardian Sync. No mention of who built it. Perfect. At SyncVerge, my monitor was humming quietly. My badge scanned green every time. My desk, minimal.